See this round muscle right here? Masseter. Okay? And then look at, there's this white line that goes across. This white line is a duct. And it leads from, see, I can see it right here. It leads from this huge gland at the bottom of the ear. This is the parotid salivary gland. Okay? So Stenson's duct, which is this, is taking all the saliva from the parotid salivary gland and dumping it into the mouth. Like if you follow it, you can actually find a little hole that goes into the mouthful cavity. Mouthful. Okay. All right, so now, look at, we found one salivary gland. Let's find another one. We can usually find the sublingual salivary glands if we look at this junction of our blood vessels here. So look at, there's this big vessel that runs across the front of the neck that's called the transverse jugular vein. And this here is the anterior facial vein, and this is the posterior facial vein. So the transverse jugular vein and the anterior and posterior facial veins dump into this big vessel here, which is the external jugular vein. But right where they all come together is usually a huge group of sublingual salivary glands. Okay, so these sublingual, under the tongue. Look at that. Ooh, it's like that cat just gave birth to this huge salivary gland. Okay, there's another one. Ooh, I bet I could find some small ones, but we're not going to do that right now, okay? So, here are the ears of the cat, and we have all of this muscle in and around here. Temporalis, okay? If I look at the chin of the cat, we can see that there, we can feel here the mandible bones. And look, there's a muscle that runs down the length of each side of the mandible. Oops, right here, sorry. I ripped that one. This is called, these are called the digastric muscles. And in between is this muscle that runs from here to here. This is called the mylohyoid. Okay, digastric, mylohyoid, masseter, Stenson's duct, parotid salivary gland, sublingual salivary glands, temporalis. Now, from the sternum area to this area where the transverse jugular vein is the hyoid area. So this muscle here, this pair of muscles right here, is the sternohyoid. These muscles here that extend from the sternum all the way up to the masseter muscles, sternomastoid. Okay, so sternohyoid, sternomastoid, digastric, mylohyoid. Okay, good? All right, so let's do the shoulder muscles. Now, if you take a look at the cat's arm and neck, you can see that there's this big long muscle that runs from the neck to the shoulder and then the shoulder to the arm. Okay, neck to the shoulder, shoulder to the arm. Looks like one big long sheet. That's actually two muscles. And from the neck to the shoulder here, that's the clavotrapezius. The clavodeltoid, or clavobrachialis, as Paul likes to call it, is from the shoulder to the arm. Okay, so I can actually dig that up. Let me dig it up on this side since you can see it from here to here to here to here. I wanted to avoid this side. It's very connected tissue. Pause while I do connective tissue. So look at this. Look at, you can see some connective tissue divisions that kind of demarcate where these different muscles are. Right? So the first thing I want you to see, remember we have our clavotrapezius, clavodeltoid. Look at this big trapezoidal shaped muscle right here that's covering the shoulder blade. This is called the acromiotrapezius. Now to find the acromiodeltoid, you have to dig in this connective tissue in the arm. So your deltoid muscles are your shoulder and upper arm muscles. Your trapezius muscles are your shoulder and upper neck area muscles. Okay. So right in here, this little muscle right here, right in here, acromiodeltoid. I'll turn it around. Acromiotrapezius, acromiodeltoid. Now, we're going to look back here on the cat and see this triangle right here? And try to take it up. This is the spinotrapezius. Inserts up here on the spine of the scapula. And then the spinodeltoid is right here. See that muscle? Now we didn't go over this muscle right here. This is a long muscle name. If I pull on it, it shrugs the shoulder of the cat. This is the levator scapulae ventralis. Okay? All right. So we have our spinotrapezius here. I'm going to go over these. So here's your spinotrapezius, spinodeltoid, acromiotrapezius, acromiodeltoid, clavotrapezius, clavodeltoid, levator scapulae ventralis. Okay? This big muscle here, this big sheet,
Is our lab test still only going to be 100 questions? Okay.
it's worth 200 points.
Okay.
Okay. So here is the latissimus dorsi. Okay? So if I peel up the latissimus dorsi all the way, I encounter all this fat. So I'm going to do it. I already did it over here. But underneath the fat is all of this jagged-edged muscle right in here. Okay? This is the serratus dorsalis. Okay, so it's way up here, serratus dorsalis. The serratus ventralis is right here on the ventral side. Okay, serratus ventralis. Serratus dorsalis up here, serratus ventralis over here. All right? Chest muscles. From here to here, see this strip right here? This is the pectoantebrachialis. Okay, if I pull on it, what's that?
Pectoantebrachialis.
Pectoantebrachialis. Beyonce.
Oh yeah. I was about to say the sprinkler thing.
No, that's like this.
Okay.
All right, so now this triangular muscle right here pectoralis major. This trapezoidal muscle right here, pectoralis minor. It's larger than the pectoralis major, but it's the minor because it's inferior to the major.
Wouldn't that be caudal?
Inferior and caudal are the same thing.
Is there a specific differentiation, like where you can see?
Yeah,
where
so
those
see where this white muscle is?
Yes.
And then look at, or white line, see this white line right here?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you can, if you pull on it, you can see the white line right there.
Gotcha.
And you can physically separate those with your scalpel. Okay, and then there's this real thin muscle that runs from the humerus to the xiphoid process of the sternum. You pull on it, cat goes like this. This is the Xiphi humoralis. That's it starts with an X.
Okay. How's it go again? Yeah.
It's a tough crowd, the second group. Okay. Xiphi humoralis, pectum antebrachialis, levator scapulae ventralis. Should I try it again? I'm going to try it on this side. So we're going to do the oblique muscles now. Okay, the abdominal oblique muscles. This is the one where I'm going to cut through the entire abdominal cavity. Okay, so there are actually 3 layers of abdominal muscles. The outermost layer is called the external oblique, or obliquus externus, obliquus externus.
Once it gets to less than $10, I'm just like, it's a lie. Like, I can't just right. Because I always end up going under it. No matter what. I'll spend 30 cents on something like that. And then suddenly I have like negative 20.
Yes, take a break. Just almost cut my thumb off. We have the external oblique, the internal oblique, and see, I got part of it, transversus abdominis. All right, so there are 3 layers. Okay, so now let's go to the butt muscles. All right, so the first thing you want to notice is this really shiny fascia that's on the leg. This is called the fascia latae, and there's a muscle here, right here, real thin muscle that has extensions into the fascia latae, and when the cat's alive, this muscle puts tension on the fascia latae. It's called the tensor fascia latae. If we look up here, this big circular muscle here, that's called the gluteus medius. The thin muscle atop it, right here, is the gluteus maximus. And further posterior is this long muscle here. We pull on it. Abductor, right? Caudofemoralis. Huh? Semimembranosus. Christy's like, I've heard that before. Okay, we look on this side, look, sartorius. Gracilis major. Gracilis minor. Okay? Now, what I did was I cut into all of the trapezius muscles. And I'm going to reflect them back. All right? And what I see is the entire shoulder blade here and some muscles that are connecting the shoulder blade to the vertebral column. So these muscles right here, those are called the rhomboideus muscles. And then there's one that extends all the way up to the head, or the cap, rhomboideus capitis. The big neck muscle underneath all of this is called the splenius. Noebody was like, damn.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
This second group's a tough crowd.
Tough crowd. All right.
I'm afraid of nothing.
Yeah. So look at, here's the spine of the scapula. And if we looked at the scapula bone, we noticed that it has this little sticky uppy thing. That's the spine of the scapula. So you know when you feel your shoulder blade, that's what that is. Okay? There's a group of muscles on top of or above the spine of the scapula. This is called the supraspinatus. And then there's this group underneath, the infraspinatus. And then there's this small group at the base of the infraspinatus that's called the teres major. Okay? Supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres major. Rhomboideus capitis, splenius. Now if we look at the underside of the shoulder blade, we see that it's covered in muscle too. This is called the subscapularis. Okay, so rhomboideus capitis, splenius, subscapularis, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres major. Now, if we dig back here in this big fascia, this is called the thoracolumbar fascia because it covers the thoracic area and the lumbar area. If we cut through that, we'll notice that there are long strips of muscle that are lateral to the spinal column. Okay, so this one that's nearest the spinal column, see that? That's called the longissimus dorsi. And then the one that's more lateral to the longissimus dorsi has one arm here and one arm here. This is called the multifidus. Multifidus longissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi. Serratus dorsalis. Serratus ventralis. What is that called? Spinotrapezius. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Spinodeltoid. Acromiotrapezius. Acromiodeltoid. Clavotrapezius. Clavodeltoid. Levator. Scapulae ventralis. Pectoantebrachialis. Pectoralis major. Pectoralis minor. Xiphihumerales. Pectoantebrachialis. Okay? We good? Okay. Go. Go forth.